Hi, it's Laura with Following the Paper Trail. And while I am planning over the weekend to do two additions to my 12 days of Christmas projects for 2024, before I do those over the weekend, I did want to talk about a project that I've decided to be working on in and around Christmas and up until like New Year's, and probably will spill over into January, is this book that I did back in early 2021. It was one of the first books that I did with my removable binding, removable signatures binding. And I did do a video, or I did a live stream of making the paper dolls that are in here. I've also done a video of a walkthrough of the entire book. But I've taught this one live down in Portland at the Art and Soul Retreat. But I've not actually gone through the entire process of constructing this project on YouTube or even on one of my YouTube live streams. So I am going to do it via videos and not via live streams. Other than the one where I did, and that was back in 22, when I did the paper doll tags. And I'm going to edit that because I got off on some weird tangent early on in that one. So I'm going to edit parts of that one off. I'm like going, okay, look, Laura, you kind of went woo-woo. So I'll edit that, and that will be part of the instructions for doing this book. So that live stream was actually the ones that were in this book. So let me back up a little bit. This book is called The Three Sisters. I think it called The Three Sisters of the Sky. I think it was supposed to be Three Sisters of the Earth. But anyway, regardless, this has, if you hold it up, it has 3 signatures. And each signature in here has a paper doll tag in it that is kind of, a roughly dressed little spirit doll tag. So that's the first one. They all have a cover that's got a little window so they can peek out. Here's the second one, and then the third one in here. And I think this is the one I made in the actual live stream. But what I want to do is go through the construction of the entire book. Now, I will have, for a nominal cost, for those of you who like to have some written instructions or at least cutting guide, I do, for when I taught this one live, I do have cutting instructions, supply list, that sort of thing, that I will make available for purchase. As I said, I will be constructing this in its entirety on these YouTube videos. I'm not necessarily going to give out every dimension per se, but from it, you probably could figure out on your own what kind of dimensions. And as I said, there is a walkthrough of this book. And it is roughly based on, and I meant to grab one, but I will, when I start doing the videos, talk about it a little bit further. This is roughly based on my Peekaboo albums from way back, in the 2010, 11, 12, somewhere around in there. And it was based on that, and then I've just added some more journal type pieces and parts, and it uses a lot of envelopes and mixed media, stencils, stamps, all that sort of thing. And this one was done in my version of bright colors. I mean, it's got bright colors, but those of you who know me, maybe it comes from being a redhead, but I tend to like much more complex colors than just the traditional bright stuff. It combines some book papers. It combines papers that are from just my scrapbook paper stash. It's got stamps, it's got stencils, it's got washi tape, it's got fabric, it's got stitching, you name it, it's probably got it in here. It's got tags, it's got little bits of fibers, etc. But it's a fun book. And I absolutely love doing it, and I'm excited to do another one. If you want to see more detail, I do a walkthrough video of this book back in 2022, and I will link it in the description here. So, and as I said, I already have the video that will be part of this group. I'll take it down for right now off of the live streams, and because I'm going to edit it so that it becomes part of this whole class. And, you know, every couple of days I'll put up, as I work on it, I'll put up new pieces and parts. But part of the reason I'm doing this video today is I need to decide. I have 2 versions that I want to do, and it's which one am I going to do for this class. And so I've gathered 2 baskets of goodies for the 2 different versions. One is a kind of winter woodland fairy-ish kind of spirit doll kind of version, and the other is Asian, where the dolls would be in like kimonos and that sort of thing. So let's kind of go through these 2. This one's on the right, so we'll start out with this one, with these 2 collections. And then if you could weigh in the comments as to which version you prefer, I'll take that into consideration. Doesn't necessarily mean, you know, whoever gets the most votes wins. It is a bit of a dictatorship around here. But I will definitely weigh that consideration in terms of deciding which version I like. And I'm super stoked about both of them. So it could be a lot of fun. So I've pulled out few embellishments, some yarns and fibers, some fabrics, because I like to use some more embellishment type things. Some velvets, some hand dyed, some sparkly stuff, some more sparkly stuff. Unique fabrics. I think this is like a drapery fabric. Just multitude of different kinds of fabrics, because I like to include those. This is some netting ribbon that I used actually on the cover of the original one. I would probably use it on this one. I would do something different on the Asian version, probably. I also went through all of my stamps and found some winter snowflakes type things. I don't want it to necessarily be Christmassy, but I like the idea of like the snowflakes and that sort of thing. This just happens to be my own stash. This one, just something about that just appealed to me as well for this. So we got a bunch of stamps. Here's some more snowflakes. I also have a bunch of snowflake dies, whether it's the Sizzix ones with snowflakes and such. Some feathers. Oh, that's some envelopes. Oh, that was for that. With that, envelopes here. I have some that are vellum, so they have a little bit of translucency. And then in terms of papers, this one, I have just a big old stash. And this is just, oh, here's another stamp. This, lifting it up out of the basket. Let me put some of this other stuff back in there. So this one lends itself to some eco-dyed papers that I already have. I'd probably do a few more, mainly because I have some really cool tea also that I want to tea dye some papers using some butterfly pea flower tea, which gives you a purple color. So that would be fun. So I have those, and then I also have some, and I would do a ton more. This is just what I happen to have in my tiny little stash. I would do some gel print papers as well in the color combination in terms of, I pulled out a whole huge honking stack from my papers. These are from my digital papers. It's multiple collections, and I would let you know which collections I would be using once I came to some sort of conclusion on that. But I would mix probably some of the gel printed papers, the eco dyed, and some of my own digital papers. Include those along with some stuff just out of my stash. I think this Temperia Cosmos kind of fits in with that winter woodland theme. A little bit of Cosmo, sun and moon and star stuff. I think it fits, and I have some of that. And then I just started pulling some scraps and such from a variety of some envelopes that have some cool butterflies that are in that color group. And again, this was just a 2 seconds worth of pulling. I could find a whole ton more of papers. Here's some in these grays, but it also has some cool sticker thingy bobbers in there. So any number of things that we could do in that kind of winter woodland fairy kind of feel, you know, flowers, ribbons, that sort of thing. I didn't pull any stencils because my basket was full. So, you know, pulling stencils that tend to fit the theme. So this is those cool tones, the purples, blues, greens, winter woodland fairy, not Christmassy, but just wintry fairy kind of feel with this one. So that's option 1, the winter woodland fairy. Okay, so now the other one I have, rearrange these on the desk, is an Asian themed one. And with this one, I also have some embellishment, you know, with ribbons and cords and stuff. With this one, I have some digital papers. These are, and I would probably expand on this because this was a small collection that I did with some Asian tags that you can cut out and some Asian papers. And again, I think if I decide to, or we decide to do this one, I would expand on these papers so that there was more background and that sort of thing. So I would also go through some of my other digitals to figure out which of those could potentially work with these. So there's other Asian papers that are out there. I know Graphic 45 had one at one point, but I don't know if I still have some of that one. This Stamperia one is absolutely yummy and fits color-wise with my papers. Excuse me. I have some ephemera, some vintage ephemera that I've gotten over the years with some Asian stuff. I have always said that this is out of somebody's Rolodex or just cards of Japanese contacts. It looks like it's got a envelope with it. When I was a little girl, my uncle used to pass through Alaska on his way to Japan. He worked for Motorola, and so he went to Japan all the time. So I've always had a fascination with Japan. It's someplace that I want to visit, probably higher on my list than even Europe. But I would love to someday go visit Japan. But here's some old postcards, some vintage postcards in this cute little package. I have quite a bit. Also, given that Seattle's on the Pacific Rim, and we have a rather large Japanese and other Asian nationalities population here in this area. So it's not hard to get a hold of some of the Asian books, etc. For instance, this is a ledger. You know, we all covet and crave these ledgers. Well, this is an Asian one. So it's got really cool stuff in it. So use some papers out of that. An old book. I probably have, oh no, I did have this right side up. This one's got some old diagrams in it. And this is all done. These books are so cool in that they are out of rice paper. And these are double thickness. So they're really, it's like tissue paper thickness. But they're cool books. I've got like half a dozen of these at least. Some other papers that are out of other ledger books. I have some papers, I described a couple of them that are from books that I've taken apart. Here, when I went, twice a year there is a Japanese importer that has, twice a year has a big open house sale thing, because they don't sell to the public normally. It's just twice a year. And when I went and got some stuff this year, they wrapped it in. This is probably a current newspaper. Yeah, it's 2024. But it's like, I kept the newspaper because it was like, it's in Japanese. So I figured it was perfect for what I wanted to do. So I kept that. I also have, from that same place, here's some kanji. Here I get these are scraps of kimono fabrics and such. I also, and I didn't grab some, but I have used it before, is some vintage sake bags. It's just this yummy, lusciousy brown color that I just love. But these are just, I tend to lean towards the more masculine ones, I guess. I also have a couple of kimonos that I bought specifically so that I could cut them up to use for things like this. So I've got some actually kimono fabrics, and then I just have also a ton of stamps. I also thought this one was good. This die cut with these flowers would be a good one. But I have multiple stamps. And I'm hoping these are Japanese. Some of them might be Chinese. And I don't have massive issue with combining them. But hopefully, I know this one's got to be Chinese because it's got Chinese coins on it. So I hope no one takes offense if I do combine some things that are Japanese and some things. I love this stamp as well. Now, these, given that there's a dragon, the dragons tend to be Chinese, if I understand correctly. So these might be a combination. This one's got some cherry blossoms and Japanese lanterns, bamboo, and that sort of thing. So some cool stamp sets that I can use. So anyway, so that would be the Asian collection that we would be using. I mean, I've got some awesome papers to do this one. And I know I have some other vintage Asian things that I'd have to dig up a little bit. And again, I don't have quite as big of a stack of papers given that, but this book doesn't need a lot of papers. I just grabbed things and the stack kept growing. But I will expand upon this collection. And this one, you know, all of my digital papers are still available on my website. So if that's something that is of interest to you, the papers are available and will continue to be available. So anyway, so we can do either the Asian inspired or the winter woodland fairy, or we'll call it the Japanese garden version. So with the three paper doll, because these all pop in like this. So with the woodland fairy, it would be in the flavor of this spirit doll type of thing. With the Asian, it would be almost more loose like this, not literal as dolls, but this one has almost like a Japanese obi already. So it would be much more in that Asian kimono type flavor with the dolls. And then obviously inside, it wouldn't be bright colors, and it would be much more in that Asian theme and flavor. The papers inside with the Winter Fairy one, these I would use just some of the papers, book pages that I have. But I would, with this one, I would be able to use some of the Asian papers. And I'll dig through my stencils and that sort of thing to figure out just what it is that we want to use for that. Like this one has an Asian flavor to it, so I could totally use something like that. But so weigh in, tell me which version your preference is so that I can use that information to help me to decide which one we want to do, whether it's Woodland Fairy or the Japanese garden version. So let me know which you prefer, and once I have a decision, we'll go ahead and I'll get this all rolling. I'm excited to do this. This is a book that it's fun to do. Obviously, for those of you who know me having an actually finished book, because I was just having so much fun with it. It's, you know, it's a little bit journal, it's a little bit art journal, it's a little bit just play and have a grand old time kind of thing. So anyway, let me know and we'll get rolling on this. Probably the vast majority, since it is Friday before Christmas, the vast majority will be done between Christmas and New Year's. And I'm still deciding what I want to do on New Year's, whether I want to do something on New Year's Day. You know, we used to do those New Year's Eve scrap bashes that would last for hours. I know we'd start at about 6 o'clock my time, and we'd finish after midnight my time, or just before midnight my time. And, you know, all on my lonesome doing it for 6 hours. I know there's other people who now do those kinds of things, but it's usually with a group. So that got way overwhelming, especially when it got to the point where I was doing it. Not only the front of the house, I was doing the back of the house stuff by myself too. So not planning to go back to that. But for the past many years, I've often done a New Year's Day show. As I've gotten older, that works a little better for me. So I'll decide here over this weekend and decide if and what I want to do. It probably wouldn't be this project. It would be something separate if I did that. So I have one other project that I was going to do it as part of my 12 projects, but I decided it's kind of inspired by an old project, but I decided to do it very differently and much larger. And so I'm changing that one around, and I'm hoping to do that one in January and partially into February. In February, I have my Seek, Gather, Create challenge that I do on Instagram that I co-host with 3 other people, and I'll be doing that. So that takes up February. And then as we move into spring, late March, potentially early April, I have a new 3D series that I'm not committing just yet, but it's close to committing, that I may be starting. And so we'll see. We'll just call it at that. So anyway, like I said, I will put the walkthrough of this book itself so you can watch that. I will link that in the description, and I will also over the weekend get the supply list, cutting guide, etc. Put together, and probably it will also just do a quick video that goes with that for giving specifics of how the pages go together. As I said, I will be putting those together. I will be embellishing. Maybe not necessarily putting the book together, because I want to have that done in advance. So I'm mainly just embellishing. So as part of that tutorial that I will have available, I will have a video showing how to put this. All 3 signatures are assembled in the same way, so it's all just how they are embellished. differently. So I will have that available over the weekend for those of you who are interested in having that. Otherwise, while I'm doing the YouTube videos, you can probably deduce how to put it all together without having the super specifics. So anyway, and I hate doing that behind a paywall, but Mom's got to pay a couple of bills. So, but the rest of it is all free and available for everybody to watch. And as I said, if you pay attention, you can figure out how to make it without having to purchase what I'm going to put up as a pretty nominal price, the cutting guide instructions and supply list and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, let me know what you think as to which one, and we'll go from there. Thanks a bunch.